Welcome, everybody, to another episode of And Action. It's Ricky Borba. We've got director, super producer Bex behind the scenes. A really cool, fun interview tonight. I'm laughing because that headshot of mine that pops up is now like 5 or 6 years old. And today's the first time I looked at it. I was like, maybe I don't love that headshot anymore. So I think after we're done tonight, I might schedule some more headshots. But all that to say, hello, everybody that's watching. This guy, I mean, in terms of like a fan base, this guy's got a huge one. And what's going to make this interview unique is because I didn't know anything about his work because I don't follow a lot of the things he does. So I've probably got some questions that people are going to be like, why is he asking him that? But we're going to have a lot of fun. Let's bring him out. Mr. Todd Haberkorn.
Hey man, Ricky, I have to say the one of the most fun aspects about this is that neither one of us had to sit in traffic to make this happen.
Amen. I mean, I walked 30 feet from my living room to here. Speaking of, by the way, I have 5 kids and it's summerish now. So we're a live TV show. You might see a little one run in here. So we're hoping.
If I were one of your kids, I would run in there too, because that room is so, that cannot be extolled enough. That is such a cool room.
You are officially my favorite person on earth right now. So Todd, we start every show off the same way. I'm going to read your bio and then we're going to get right into it. Okay. So
okay.
This is the flattery section. All right. Todd Haberkorn is a Los Angeles-based actor, director, and producer whose work ranges from film to anime to video games and beyond. With over 200 credits spanning cartoons, commercials, audiobooks, video games, and film and TV, Mr. Haberkorn has worked with some of the industry's best, including Warner Brothers, Sony, Gearbox, and Nintendo. Anime fans know Todd as the voice actor from many popular series, I hope I say these right, such as Fairy Tail, Dragon Ball Z, Full Metal Alchemist, Brotherhood, and Sailor Moon. Video game fans will undoubtedly recognize him from numerous titles, including Dragon Ball Z, Dishonored 2, Fire Emblem Heroes, and Gears of War. And critics know Todd as well. He is a multi-earphone award winner for narration, and in 2015, an Audio Award finalist. His performance as Mr. Spock in Star Trek Continues has contributed to the beloved fan base's series numerous awards and accolades. Join Team Haberkorn today and follow Todd on Twitter, Instagram, and Unlocked with Todd Haberkorn, Haber Unlocker, official Haberkorn, Habergram. Todd, welcome to the show, my friend.
Wow, thank you. Thanks, man. I want to do your bio next.
I'll email it to you when we're done.
Okay.
So I'm going back and I'm going like, okay, we talked about a minute ago, you did not start in 1985. Nevertheless, your IMDb goes back like a whole rap sheet, like if you're a criminal that just got caught for years and years. So my question, it just begs the question, are you drinking Coke or kombucha tonight? Because I did study your Instagram and it's one of the two. So I've got my kombucha in my Mandalorian tiki cup here. What we got
I finished some ginger lemon kombucha, so I need to go restock. Yeah.
So good. Ginger's good. Do you have a Trader Joe's down there?
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay, so the strawberry lemonade kombucha from Trader Joe's, it's only sold at Trader Joe's, is the best beverage on earth. So
okay,
get out there after we're done and get yourself
all right.
Thanks for the tip. Yes. Okay. So before we get into anything, so I'm doing all this research about you and you're a voice actor and all this, and then it's clicking with me. I'm like, if I close my eyes, this dude is almost spot on for Justin Timberlake. Do you have a Justin Timberlake impersonation that you do?
I need my auto-tune.
You need your auto-tune, okay.
Actually, you know what's funny about that? My mom, I don't know why she did this, but she sends me odd presents on holidays and things like that, namely birthdays, obviously the biggies. Yeah. And one time she sent me Justin Timberlake's book. I've never voiced how Justin Timberlake, like I like him, right? But I've never voiced it. So this book arrives, the hardback Justin Timberlake book arrives, and it sits on my coffee table, but I don't know the origins of it, and I want to ask her one day.
Well, now you should see, Mom, did you and Ricky talk to each other about this? Was this like a collaborative effort?
Yeah, I'm saving it for like deathbed talk.
There you go.
One of those, a zinger, like pulling a deep cut for her.
I love it. So Todd, one of the questions I love to ask all of our guests who are involved in front of the camera is, what got you interested in acting? I know voice acting wasn't your first thing. You wanted to be in front of the camera more, and you are, but what got you interested in it? And then why for you as a kid, when you were watching things, you're like, you know what, this is for me. What was that about?
You know, I when I go back and look at it, I actually sound kind of completely ignorant of the whole process, because when I was a kid, the only thing that I saw right in front of me was stage. So I was a stage actor for a long time, and that was my focus. And then I was like, well, I need to do something that's sustainable, because theater, it's very difficult to maintain, to have a lot. It's very difficult to be fiscally, to have fiscal strength if you are just doing stage.
Yes.
And so then I was like, okay, well, movies. And so then I investigated the on-camera world and went into that in a variety of capacities. And the only reason that I have different hyphens next to things that I do in the on-camera world was out of necessity. It wasn't because I necessarily wanted to do gaffing and lighting and this and that and art direction, but it's because I needed to at the time for those particular projects. But the beautiful thing about that is, which I'm sure you have done yourself, is that when I hire people for those positions, or when I'm working on a project where those people are involved, number one, you're fluent in how to talk to them, but also you understand what they're going through. So if sound on set is like, they're not quite ready yet, but camera is, then sound needs a bit more time, because they're doing a different process than the DP.
Todd, can we be honest with each other here? Sound always needs a little bit more time.
Yes, yes.
Right? Like, always. Okay, so I in all of my research with you, I watched an interview you did, so I don't want to rehash that, but I do want you to talk about when you kind of realized it was happening for you as a voice actor, because you're like, oh my gosh, I just kind of took stock of things and I'm doing all this voice acting stuff, and I guess I'm a voice actor now. So talk about that, how that all came to be for you.
Yeah, that was an interesting, because I remember the exact moment where that happened, because I was actually right out of college and I was teaching theater, because I was acting and I was doing on camera stuff and commercials and things like that. But the voice in my head from my mom was like, you better have a backup plan. So I was like, oh man, I guess I better teach theater. And that was not a good move, because I was exhausted, because I would be on set all night or all day. I used up all my sick days for the year in the first 2 months of teaching, because I had to go on set. But I remember I taught for 2 years. So in the second year, voiceover, as you mentioned, was picking up, and it was growing, and it was like very quickly. It was like, I got a lead, then I got another lead. Then they were like, do you want to write some scripts? Then it was like, do you want to direct? So it just kind of started to take on a life of its own. And I remember walking down the hallway during a passing period when the kids are going to their different classes, and I'm looking at a teacher that's been there for 30 years. And I'm watching the way he's walking down the hallway, and he's just like looking down, and he's just defeated and crushed. And I was like, that's it. I'm not teaching anymore. That's it. I'm not doing this, because you're at a crossroads. Do you go down this steady path of, guaranteed hours, guaranteed vacations, retirement, or do you just kick open the door, grab your little stick with a can of beans on it, and you're like, all right, let's see what happens. And when I saw him and I saw the way he was walking down that hallway, I was like, I'm out. I got to get out.
Yeah, you have to. For me too, and I know we just met each other, but we're already best friends. There was that moment for me too. I was like, I am looking at my future because I'm IT tech support guy. Like I love computers and fixing stuff. I was like, I'm looking at the $80,000 a year job, the 2 kids, the car, the house, the whole thing. But my passion is film. And I was like, no, I've got to bet on myself. And I did. And, not that I'm anything special, but the hard work has paid off. I'm a film director. Now I can say that I'm a film director, and it's really special and really unique. Speaking of film, thank you. Speaking of film, you've got something going on behind you. Let's play what you've got going on behind you live right now. Then we'll talk about it.
Okay.
It's not what you're thinking. It's so much worse.
The old state penitentiary is now closed to tourists after concerns of structural instability.
Hey folks, big news for the Skeptic and the Scientist channel. I'm talking huge. Take a look. We are the last crew to film in the old historic prison.
Conspiracy theorists, however, claim that ghostly sightings and increased paranormal activity are to blame for the closure.
I don't think you're listening.
Did you hear that?
There were hangings there. There were serial killers.
Any deaths in here? Anyone of significance?
The last group to get a permit to film here, huh?
Yeah, we're pretty stoked.
Well, make sure you capture as much as you can before the sun sets.
That's amazing. Look at so obviously you have all this fan following for all the voiceover work you've done and other acting, but I think it's fair to say at this point your most notable role would be Matthew from Paranormal Prison, which is the trailer we just saw.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah.
It was fun to quite an experience to, you know, for me, extremes in weather are tricky to deal with. I'm a party pooper when it comes to like super, super hot or super, super cold.
Right.
But luckily there was the great crew there, had blankets ready to go. It was awesome.
I'm hearing from our director, Bex, that there's something else she would like to pop on the screen right now. So go ahead. I don't know what's happening here. I'm not. What is that?
That was one of our early costume fittings.
Okay.
Yeah, that was our very first night. We got together for the first time, and we were trying on the costumes. Yeah.
All right.
Oh, that dude. So the stunt man he's in the project, which you'll see. Such a cool guy. Because what I love about him, what I love about guys that have endured in the industry for decades, is they have awesome stories about Hollywood in its different eras.
Yes, love it.
And working with different amazing people. And so I just kind of sit back and just soak it all in and please tell me more.
Yeah, love it. There's Brian. So, Beck, you can go back to a two-shot. For those that don't know, Brian Jager is one of the founders of Casting Calls America. He's also the director of that film, and he produces this show. So let's just talk a little bit about Brian. What was it like working with Brian, and how was that whole experience? I know you said you're the hot and the cold and stuff, but that is not a typical film because you're doing found footage. So I'd love to hear like how that was compared to most other things.
You know, I applaud Brian on being able to wrangle that whole process because so we were all wearing GoPros and they had GoPros set up in different spots, and another actor in the film was actually being his own DP. So to coordinate all of those shots, to coordinate all of that footage, to coordinate what we were dealing with, all of the tech, there were some tech things that would happen in the sense that the prison, the thick walls, the bars, the iron bars would interrupt the GoPro signals. And so often we would have GoPros just shut off because it was where it's difficult to get some of these shots. And Brian was definitely, obviously has a lot going on set. He's like, you're the mayor of a small city.
That's right.
For that time being. And so anyone that can get a film from concept all the way to on the screen, that in itself is an amazing, that's like doing an Ironman triathlon. It's crazy. Not everyone can do it, but if you can do it, that's something that can't be taken from you.
That's right. And the film has an incredible ending. People, when I'm reading the reviews on it, people are like, this ending is like just, it's blowing me away. So we won't spoil that, but if you haven't seen Paranormal Prison, go Google it and find it and watch it. Todd's in it, and he's here on the show, so you want to do that. Todd, how many voices have you voiced? Do you have like a kind of a number in your head that you keep track of?
Oh, man. Well, so the tricky thing is, I like doing a lot of odd voices and things that I don't often get to do. But what I tend to get called in more for recently are things that are splinter cells off of my character from the Destiny 2 video game series.
Oh, okay.
And so that's a lot. That's typically what'll happen now. For me, it's a lot of the guys that have rough around the edges gravel in their voice.
Yeah.
And that comes from years of not treating my voice well and just yelling a lot.
Okay.
And so yeah, so there are times when a director will be like, pull some of that gravel out of there. I'm like, I'll give it a shot.
Yeah.
But it's kind of like comes with the car. So
you jumped ahead to like one of my last questions for you. I was going to ask, I'll just ask it now. What can voice actors do to take care of their voice now? What do you do to take care of your toolbox?
I like to do a lot. I do extensive vocal rest a lot of the time because I mean, all the time you'll hear people say, eat an apple, drink hot tea, this and that. And the thing about the apple is it when you're eating an apple, your brain goes, oh, I'm consuming food. I need to process more saliva so that I can process the food that's coming in.
Yeah.
So that doesn't make sense to me.
Okay.
So in terms of drinking tea, yes, I will drink tea, warm tea if it's going to be a throat ripper session.
Yeah.
But the best thing to do is to schedule those throat ripper sessions on a Friday. So then you have the weekend to just chill. I worked on a game series called Rage. I did 1 and 2, and they were years apart. The first one I remember because we did it in Texas, and it was behind the Dallas Aquarium. There was a studio there, and I was excited to work with these guys because we were talking about working on Doom.
Yeah.
Moving forward to go work on Doom, and Doom was a whole adventure to get that thing to where it is now. But with Rage,
right,
I did not take breaks, and I in the booth. I should have listened to my throat hurting. Basically, I destroyed my throat in that session, and I couldn't speak, could not whisper, could not speak, could not whisper for 9.5 days. And I thought, well, it was a fun run.
Wow.
Because and so I know from that, that caused some
unreal
problems. Yeah.
Unreal. I mean, the show is so quick and tight. It's like a weird segue. Like you're talking about something very deep there, and I'm like, okay, well, let's ask a fun question. So I apologize, but here we are. So I threw this out on Twitter today to some of your fans, and I was like, okay, I'm interviewing Todd tonight. If you guys had questions, what would you like me to ask him? And more than a few people said this. And okay, we're just gonna go with. They want to know what your favorite food is, what your favorite drink is, what you're watching on TV right now, and what you're listening to. People they're dying to know.
Food, drink, show, music. Okay.
Yes.
Food-wise, favorite food. Man, I quit. I don't eat cereal anymore. But
That's a weird statement. That should be a tweet.
But I have recently gotten back into Lucky Charms because my partner in crime, she was like, let's go get a box of Lucky Charms. And I'm like, ooh, should we, just because you can, does that mean you should?
Yeah.
And now I'm fucking eating these Lucky Charms like crazy. So I blame her for that.
Yeah.
And so that's the food. What drinking? Oh man. Hibiki whiskey. When I was doing a gig in Japan last year, and I had that whiskey more regularly than I would than I would tell my mom.
Yeah.
But that whiskey just so good. Hibiki whiskey. If you can find that, it's always sold out in LA.
All right.
But that's my drink. And then but I'm not I don't want to make it sound like they're like, what do you drink? What's your favorite drink? That doesn't mean I drink it all the time.
Right.
I'm just like, that's the drink that pops to my head.
Sure.
Of course I drink water all the time.
Yeah,
show that I'm watching, I'm working my way through Zack Snyder's Justice League.
Oh, you got to do that in one sitting. Come on, man.
I know. I wanted to. I like it much better than the first version.
Absolutely.
Right out of the gate. Ooh, it's so much better than the first one.
Absolutely, 100%.
And then in terms of music, man, I'm so bad about it. And I don't know about you, but we have at our fingertips, we have access to 100 million songs, and I hover around my same stuff.
Me too. Totally.
So I'm trying to branch out. So I'm trying to get better about that. So TBA on music.
Okay. No problem. So here's a fun question. I'm sure you've never been asked before, but I'm going to be honest. I don't know a single thing about anime. I've never watched a single minute of it. I need you to explain to me, a toddler, when it comes to anime, what is the draw to anime, and really in your mind, what is it that I know it's global. I know millions of people love it. I want to hear from you why you think that is.
I think with anime, it's a very non-linear storytelling that is attractive because it's so different than how we approach Western animation.
Okay.
So with Western animation, every episode it's like, we meet the good guys, we meet the bad guys, we see what the bad guy wants, the good guy goes after the bad guy. That's every episode, generally.
Right.
With anime, it can take you down a serious road and then all of a sudden throw some humor in there. Then all of a sudden throw something spicy in there and sexy, and then throw something magical in there, all in one episode. And it takes you down different paths that could go on for 2 or 3 episodes, where I think sometimes Western animation is afraid of that for some reason.
So
where it's like,
go ahead.
Go ahead.
No, I was going to say, I'm thinking of Breaking Bad, like every week didn't solve the problem. Is it something like that where like it's a longer episodic?
Yes. And there are tragedies that happen. They're not afraid to have tragedies happen.
Okay.
And they run the gamut of emotional, of the emotional scale, the emotional palette. And so they do that with the tools of fun animation.
Okay.
And so a lot of times the animation's bigger than life. It's bright colors, but then you have things that are so imaginative. There was a show that I worked on, several that come to mind in terms of imagination. Soul Eater is one. It's about these kids that go to a death academy, and my dad is death.
Oh.
And so how does that work? And
Yeah.
and then there's another show, Sergeant Frog, where I'm an alien frog that comes to Earth to take it over, but I realize how fun Earth is, and so I'm stalling. And so when the bosses check in, I'm like, oh yeah, it's going great over here. Meanwhile, I'm loving vacuuming. And as Alien Frog is like, wow, vacuuming's pretty cool. So I spend an episode doing that. So you would never see that outside of in a Western animation setting for the most part. So I think that's the appeal of it.
Okay, that is a great answer. That actually makes me kind of want to watch some of your work now, even though I've never watched anime. I'm like, oh, that sounds good. So this is probably an unfair question. I shouldn't even ask it. But do you ever find yourself like in a voice recording session, you're like, oh man, this sounds so much like this character. I hope they don't notice. Or do you really truly try to make each voice unique?
Oh, all the time. I think about that. But the meaning. I think about the fact that this voice is this or this voice is that, similar. But 2 things about that. One, they're going to be different because they're different IPs. So that's okay. But then number 2, from my theater background, I always tried to completely change who I was, completely change what I bring to each character.
Yeah.
It's not realistic. What I feel like what Hollywood wants is they do want a different character, but they want your essence in there.
Yes.
And so, and also when you've reached, when you've done X amount of voice things, you just, it's not humanly possible to come up with more.
Right,
so,
exactly.
So you have to retread and go retro on yourself.
That's good. Yeah. So in going through your stuff, I found that you voiced a character named Ricky from Lupin Part 3. So can I hear that voice, please?
Oh my God. I have to see it because I'll tell you this, Ricky.
Yeah.
I'll explain why.
Okay.
When we work on projects, they're all code named.
Oh.
So we never know what it is. So when we worked on Halo, they called it like graham cracker, or when we worked on
Blue Harvest with Star Wars. I get it.
Stuff like that. So when we're seeing it, oftentimes I'm like, okay, what's this going to turn into? And then I turn around, I'm like, oh, that's Star Wars.
Like that. You've done Star Wars. When we Squadrons. Yeah. I'm a playable character in there. And when we worked on it, you would never know that's Star Wars, but it's because I'm a Star Wars fan like yourself. I bow down to you. I knew. So I have a question for you. What was your first Star Wars acquisition in that room? Oh, in this room, it's this stuff. These are all the toys, the action figures from when I was like 3. So
you still have those?
I kept them all, and now my son plays with them.
Man,
so
smart.
But here's the cool stuff. This is really cool. I'm glad you asked. 90% of this is new because we're talking about chasing your dreams. In 2012, I sold 90% of my Star Wars collection. The only things I kept were my Boba Fett stuff. I sold over $20,000 worth of Star Wars stuff to start my film production company so I could buy cameras and equipment to go after my dreams. And so now that things are going a little better, I'm buying bigger and better. By the way, the Mandalorian costume is in the mail. All my armor and stuff, it'll be here next week. So I'm very excited.
Oh, can I ask you one thing about Mandalorian since you brought it up?
Yeah.
Did you think it was bullshit, or were you cool with it when Grogu was meditating on the hill? Mando put his jetpack down, and then when he was trying to run up there, he should have grabbed. Why didn't he grab the jetpack?
I know it was no good, but the reason they did it was because they had to throw in a device to keep him from being able to fly, and it was lazy writing. Is my answer? It was completely lazy writing.
Oh,
okay,
that ruined my night. Like that ruined my night.
Really?
That episode.
Okay, but how about when they brought Luke back? Did that bring you back?
Well, I mean, it ruined my night because I felt so bad because Grogu was in the hands of Moff Gideon.
Right.
That's why I got mine's in my. Mine's in the other room.
At some point, we got to hang out. So, okay. So Transformers is my other kind of favorite thing. And you do the voice of Shockwave and Red Alert or something like that.
Yeah.
But I'm curious, was it your choice or the producer's choice to keep the British accent of Shockwave, or was that an homage to the original actor for you?
It was their choice. I started doing it and they were like, okay, let's keep going down that road.
Yeah.
The director on that, Phil, great team, awesome folks to work with. They care about the property so much. Big shout out to those guys. It was quite an honor to be a part of that franchise. And the show that I'm working on now directing is from the animation team that did all the animation and the visuals right now. So
love it.
That'll come out next year. So
okay. So we've got about a minute left. Final question. I watched an interview with you. I think this is the most important thing that's going to be said all night. You said you were reading a book and you realized that fear and hope come from the same place. Unpack that.
Oh, yes. So fear and hope come from a zone of things that hasn't happened yet.
Yes.
So you can't necessarily control that. All you can do is control yourself and how you react to those things. So it was something that clicked with me, and hopefully I can every day try to walk towards that more successfully. But it's a focus on something that has absolutely not happened yet. So
that's right.
How valuable is that? I don't know. I don't know.
I think it's valuable in that you can choose which one you want to cling to. You can choose to cling to fear, or you can choose to cling to hope.
Absolutely.
For guys like you and I, we've clung to hope.
Well, and also, listen, none of us are getting out of this ride alive. So what's the more pleasant road?
That's it. Hope. With that, Todd, thank you for coming on the show. This was an absolute, it feels like it went by in 4 seconds. You're the man. I appreciate it. Thanks for being here. Todd Haberkorn, everybody.
Thank you.